pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now a moment of silence for all those who have gone before us, all the members of the APA family, and those who are ill or have lost any members. For the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay. There are some additions with requests of additions to the agenda. Under the approval of minutes, I'll just put it there. We're also going to approve the June minutes during that. And then under new business, we're adding loan modification. Any further discussion or changes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor with the additions with the sign of aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, I need a motion for the approval, and let's do them separately. Everybody should have in your board packet a copy of the June minutes, so if you'll look at the June minutes, I need a motion in a second.
I have looked at it, and I prepared to make the initial first motion that we approve the APA board minutes for the meeting held on June the 29th. The only section that we were missing, I believe, was the financial review, and we have added that. So I think everything else was already determined to be okay.
So I have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the June minutes, the June 29th minutes. All four with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. That was difficult. Okay, now for the September 28th, 2021 minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the September 28th board meeting minutes.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the September 28th minutes. All four with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay. Approval of the CEO report. It's in your packet.
If we have questions, should we go ahead and ask even before we make a motion?
We'll ask for discussion.
Okay, so we'll do it then. Well, I'm prepared to make a motion that we accept the October CEO report as presented to us.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have one or two questions. Let's see, Jill, you have, I believe, a list. I think there were 5 positions that we've been trying to fill, actually, since we put the budget together in May. And then this report, you had 3 marked new positions. I got the impression that perhaps we've had 3 incumbents that are no longer with us.
Half of that is true.
Okay.
These positions, only the first 2 are ones that we've been trying to fill since we made the budget.
Okay.
The rest of them were either filled at one time or have recently changed careers.
So number 3, the very last one on the list then is somebody that's left us since the start of school then?
Yes,
Okay.
and actually, the 5th grade elementary teacher, both of those positions have left since the start of school. That split English position has as well, which has been filled and taken care of. The high school social studies position just recently left to go pursue a career in oil drilling. And then the new 5th grade elementary position just left to go to IPS. The counselor she's not taking a new position, she'll just be going home for now. And then the SPED teacher was offered a position where they would be able to work from home, and so they
does that leave us with just one counselor then?
It leaves us with one counselor right now, but we have 2 interviews tomorrow
Okay.
to fill the
I'm
position.
assuming Emily was the one that, because she was already part-time.
Emily's here still.
Oh, she's still with us? Okay,
Yes,
good,
Emily is
good.
staying.
I think she's a very good counselor.
Yes. And the other one was a great counselor as
Yeah, I
well.
never got to meet her.
So
Okay.
it's going to be a tough loss for our kiddos, but it's
And
what's
then
best
as
for
board
them.
treasurer, I guess I'm always supposed to ask, do we have a provision made for any of those positions already in our budget? So the answer would be yes, with the exception of maybe the last one.
All of these
Or they've
were,
all been
they were all budgeted
All budgeted,
positions.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
none of these are new positions.
very good. And I think you also had something in there about substitutes, as I recall. What is we were hearing a lot about trouble getting subs and schools having to, really raise the sub rate. What is our going rate for subs now, curiosity?
Currently, it was 70, and we moved to 75 last year. And we have a 1.38 markup on that, 75 going through Kelly to fund
Oh, okay.
the recruitment and all of the personnel management of it. And so basically a sub for us is $103.50. Looking at our pay, it is in alignment with ACS's as well as Daleville and some of the surrounding areas. Now, some of them have already gone to raising that rate. Essentially, ours comes out to just over $10 an hour, which, as some will point out, you can now go to McDonald's or some of those other retail establishments and make higher for that. And that is a good argument. However, at this rate, our subs get to make their own schedules and those things. So I'm trying to find a way to kind of bridge that difference. A lot of our subs are retirees or stay-at-home parents, and so they need the flexibility in their schedules. And then looking at cost, obviously we want to stay aligned with what other people are doing, but also be able to recruit more because we need
Everybody's
new
looking
subs.
for them.
Yeah, and we've increased our sub pool. Our sub pool is much larger than it was 2 years ago. And this year we we've received probably about 5 or 6 new subs that have actually been in our building. It's just that there's such a high demand in our county for subs. You know, with all the quarantines and the teacher shortages and all that. So working to try to make that where it is a better pay. If it's a building sub, their pay is about $100 a day. If they have credentialing or things like that, we negotiate higher.
Oh, okay.
If they
So
are
it's
an
not just
APA.
the same rate for everybody.
Right,
Yeah.
and then if we have a long-term sub, it's usually $125 a day if they are credentialed. So, trying to assess our market and keep up with everything, and also cover it in our budget. But subs, that's always a category that no matter what we budget, we're always wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm
While
not.
we're on that topic here, I noticed this year, I think we have restored our line item for subs. I know last couple of years, I think we sort of had that embedded within the certified, non-certified, so, which didn't really do us much good from an analysis standpoint. Let's see, I got that written down here in front of me. So what line is that? Yeah, I guess I don't anyhow. I think we were anticipating about
See if I can find it.
25,000, I think, and we're still pretty much on target. Is that about in line with what we've done in past years? It seems like some years, haven't we gone as high as 30, maybe up to 40 or something? And
Oh, I feel like our sub budget is much higher than that, what you're looking at.
Well, that's maybe a good thing we brought that up.
I was like, pretty sure it's in the 50s or 60s.
25,000.
Oh, it's line 84, yes, line 84, substitute teachers restored. Got that on my
Oh, yeah,
cheat-
it
big,
says
large
the
print
24.
cheat sheet here, so I can read it.
Yeah, I think we need to take a look at that. That doesn't seem like somebody came out the way. There's some more, if you look on line 67,
Okay,
there's some more of that budget, which is about 10,000.
was that labeled sub two then?
Yeah, those
Oh,
are
I missed
temporary
that.
labor.
Okay, that's when I missed that. Okay,
We will take a look at that because that, anything else?
let's see. I don't know that we want, I enjoyed those two Form 54 scenarios, 6 pages each.
Very much
Don't know if we want to really wade into that. I made a few comments in that little review I sent out, but I think you accomplished, we got educated that the one line item we have for state tuition plus summer school is a little more complicated than it appeared, and difficult to forecast on a rolling basis, so.
Yeah,
It-
that was
Yeah.
interesting.
It's a treat, isn't it? Looking at all the percentages and they fluctuate every year, what they're gonna look at your complexity
If I read
formula.
that right, I was a little surprised. I thought the difference between the two scenarios, for the first ADM, which was 782, we say we had 92 virtual kids, which is 85%, and state is claiming, no, we think it's 119 because some are in quarantine. I thought there would be a bigger difference between the two, but it looked like only about $2,000 between the two alternatives for a whole year. But then I may have computed all of it wrong too.
Yeah, and
it's
this is
confusing.
kind of like apples to star fruit at this point,
If
trying
you
to
have any
compare
further
them.
comments or education, go ahead, but
Yeah.
I did want to acknowledge it was very interesting
Okay,
and educational too, so.
yeah, and, looking at basically the deduction that we would receive per student enrolled in the virtual academy or APA online is $899 per student is a loss that we would have out of that ADM. And I know kind of in your financial review, you had taken the 15% off of that total ADM.
Yeah, so the proxy number that we use every year, I think it was
Right.
7,800 some.
Yeah,
I didn't
and-
know how correct that was, but
Yeah, really, they take it off of the foundation grant, which is $5,995, and that's where that 15% comes off of. So it's not nearly as significant, which is good for us.
yes.
And we do still get the full 1,000 for them for the Charter Innovation Grant funding, whether they're virtual or not. And then the state legislators right now, I don't think they're gonna go back to 100% funding for that
Really?
group. But the ones, because right now our account is showing 119, they're going to try to figure that out. And essentially what they're going to do is take their attendance from August 9th, which is when we started school, to the count day, September 17th, which is when they were virtual at one point. And if 50% of that time in school or more was virtual, then they will count as a virtual student. But if, well, I guess, so 51% or more. If it was 50% or less, or 49% or less, then they will count as an in-person. And so it's gonna be kind of a fight to say, no, here's where these kids were, here's what their coding was, and here's the reason for it. Now, Angie, and I did include in my CEO report a little bit about the nightmare. I think we are going to need to invest in some therapy, or like anger room therapy for Angie, for having to go through and try to fix all of that, because it has been a mess. But, you know, we're almost through it. There's no wood for me to knock on, but they have made a heroic effort to make sure that we are getting the funding that we are entitled to make sure everything's where it needs to be. But I figured because you've asked for a while, I was like, you know what, I'll give the 54 report, as confusing as it can be. Once you get the hang of it, it starts to make sense, and then you kind of question your own sanity at that point, but.
Yeah, at first glance, it looked pretty scary, but yeah, I did sort of catch the
Yeah.
gist of it after a while.
It's a lot to
Certainly,
digest.
IT folks are dealing with that.
Are they going to continue polling your data? That's the new standard.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, honestly, to fix it would be to just have us all have a universal SIS, but, you know, then they're gonna have to pay for that because,
not gonna happen.
yeah.
Is it just matching up to what they're expecting for the input, like the file formats and the fields and all that stuff? So you have to convert everything we have.
Mapping, the mapping.
Yeah, we had to convert everything, and they're pulling straight from the SIS, so they're not even, because it used to be we submitted our, CFV files and all that fun stuff. And now they've gone back and just said, no, we're gonna pull it from your system, but now we're having to have it pulled from our system and do the manual CSVs so that they can, source of truth is what they're calling it.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Definitely familiar with that.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah, it's
Every
been a
day.
really interesting thing. I'm really happy of the timing of it. I felt it was very appropriate for this school year to be the one, and that our big experimental report was our membership and tied to all of our finances.
Yeah.
So I won't soapbox.
Well, feel your pain for sure. That's, deal with that day in, day out.
Yeah, it's been fun, but Angie and Hayden and, Mark Dixon and people, they're getting new processes put in place and fixing all the little changes. One of the biggest thing was that the county of residence or school of legal settlement was in the wrong spot. It's in the right spot in Skyward, but it can be in 5 different spots, and it's not the right spot. So,
Thank
And
goodness
switching
for
them from
small
back and
government
forth
people.
From in-school to virtual, kicked that out.
Oh, wow.
So I literally had to go through every virtual student, check every little thing.
yeah, so it's
That's-
been awesome.
Yeah, that is.
Hey, but we have resilient people.
So they've gone to 2 count dates again this year, and the next one is
February 1st.
Okay.
Yep.
Then in your report, you mentioned board training, and you got 2 sets of dates here. You thought you would have more information before the board meeting?
I had hoped that I would, and I thought I would, but he has not responded with that. He has confirmed our meeting on November 4th, and so we're just waiting for a final check off from him.
So are there dates that work better for the board members? It's a Friday night and a Saturday morning.
Was it Saturday, December 4th?
It's 12:3 and 12:4, or 12:10 and 12:11.
12:04 in the morning, I probably will be playing Santa Claus again, although we do not have that finalized yet, so.
Anybody else have conflicts?
Having a grandbaby sometime around there.
Could you schedule that for a different day?
Not on the weekend.
Yes, I believe.
SATs on 12/4, just so you know.
On the 12th, 4th? Yeah, and we,
Just so you know.
okay, thanks. So when's that due date, Angie?
She's due December 16th.
Okay.
So the best, if you could encourage, sounds like 12:10 and 12:11.
Okay.
If you could do that.
We think somebody took the 3rd and 4th anyway. We're just not sure yet.
Yeah, and that school, it's a school in Michigan, and they had said, well, maybe this date or this date. So whatever they get, or that thing. So
What would be the location? Would it be here, or would it be somewhere else, or?
the Friday night one, he had talked about doing a dinner, and I don't know if he meant taking us to a restaurant or catering it in. Surely I would think that would be a catered in thing.
We'll find out. I was assuming it would be here.
Okay.
Or sometimes they prefer we're not here, that we're off-site, which we could use Purdue. We could go there.
So it'll be local here
Yeah.
in town?
Yeah, it'll be in Anderson,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the CEO report with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, approved. Old business, we have financials, and I only have one page in my packet. I don't have the full financials.
That's tiny.
Do you have this? You
I
don't?
missed even part of the CEO report. I'm missing bits and
Well, I'm
pieces.
blaming that on the copier because I put everything in there.
Say, don't blame the CEO. Okay, let me, how do I?
Is that my original?
And the date on the front of the program says the 25th, and it's actually the 26th.
That's my fault.
No scaling. Thank you. Ooh, that makes it 28 pages.
So can we get
Yeah,
a
like
quick?
go run some more, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, we need.
I was trying to make it happen, but Angie is a smarter woman than I am.
Did you get all of Dave's narrative?
Good with that. They've got,
Have Dave's narrative.
yeah, that got emailed, so they would have the access to that.
I feel like there's a formatting thing on
I
here.
suppose the key numbers would be the cash flow statement, the
I
spreadsheet.
don't feel like Debbie did
Yeah,
it
hopefully
right.
everybody got that, because our discussion is mostly based on that.
And usually, because usually I can print directly from mine, and it will not let me. It wants to make it 28 pages.
That's what I
Yeah,
have.
there's something I'm not, whatever, there's something with quite right in that course. So I'm just gonna save it to show written, that's what I was.
So Dave, do you want to just kind of start in?
Yeah, I can go ahead and get us started here on financials.
I will do my best.
Fortunately, the numbers look very good for we start with our latest projected year-end results. And let's see, I think we have, Andrew, you jump in whenever you want. I may have one or two questions. Our budget, if we start with our year-end net cash income, our budget was, we were hoping to get $51,190. That's on a cash net income basis. And then at our last meeting, if you recall, the first spreadsheet had a glitch on it, which we caught then at the board meeting, and it showed a negative loss, a cash loss of $334,078. But we quickly found out what the problem was on that, and that the correct figure then was $113,622. Now, our latest projection here, dated 9/30, is even better. We're projecting a cash net income of $233,026. Now, we talked a little bit about the error at the last board meeting since we caught it. Basically, what it amounted to was a double counting of expenses related to our air purifier project and also a lot of work done by West Electric. I don't know on which particular project, probably several. But taking those totaled, this $364,078, and they had been double counted apparently, because those numbers were already somewhere else in the budget in another account. Now, let's see, Andrea, my question then, as I told you, was I noticed that most, not all, but most of the improvement for our projected bottom line was due to an additional $126,284, which we took out of the line 159, which is the building improvements, which is an expense. I think everything that goes in that line is a depreciable asset. That's what I've been told. Do you know what? There wasn't any large transfers that I could see in any other account. Do you have any idea of what may have occasioned that?
I honestly do not. It looks like when they changed the projected, someone else actually helped me do this month.
Mm-hmm. I know you were on vacation for a while.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
a much needed one too, I might add.
Thank
So
you.
yes,
I appreciate that. So I think it might just be in the adjustment when they did change the projections that they may not have done the right amount.
maybe
But
it looks like a double count again.
Yeah.
Although I couldn't pick out
Yeah, I can't
what it was.
Looking at it here, I can't quite figure it out. I will look at it when I get in the office.
Well, we'd like to keep the correction because it improves our bottom line.
But I will see if there is a reason it doesn't seem like the right amount.
Okay, and then if we can hold to our projections, that would leave us with a very good ending cash on hand at the end of this year, June 30th, of $1,906,754. And let's see then, just taking a quick look at unfavorable budget variances, whether income or expense, looking to see if any of those are of the red flag variety. Total income, actually, and again, we're talking about a projection for the whole year. Total income is 111, almost 112,000 over budget. All categories, grants, everything is at least slightly over budget. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape there. Total expenses then are actually looking to run perhaps 70,000 lower than budget, and they are $84,000 lower than what we had projected for year-end last month, which is good. And total facilities expense, actually that total category, which has a lot in it, is running 128,000 under budget, which is very good. No surprise, the largest unfavorable budget variances, expense variances, under the category janitorial supplies and trash removal, we're 226,000 over budget, mostly I think because of the air purifiers, is my guess on that. No surprise, that's one of the ESSER projects, which we know will be reimbursed. And then under the categories utilities, phone, and outside services, we're about 112,000 over budget, and I think that's mostly West Electric work, which I believe is mostly or all reimbursable under our federal programs. Mm-hmm. So it looks like we're on track here if we can hold it for the end of the year. Now, September, wow, that was a little different story. We initially thought we were shooting for a bottom line of $412.0611. I think the basis of that was we were hoping to get our $387,500 innovation grant, and it looks like we won't get that until October. Hopefully we'll get it in October. We'll get it sometime. So that was a big chunk of that. Let's see, actually, when you look at just the month of September, let's see here, total expenses actually were not the problem. For that month, we were only like $7,000 over budget, but total income was down $635,000 from our budget, about half of that being the innovation grant. Then I think the other big chunk was ESSER 2 and 3. I think we were below budget about $141,000, and I suspect that that was mostly due to the fact that I noticed if you go down to our building improvements, we only had 2,738 expense versus a planned 129. So I think we aren't far enough along on some of our projects to file for reimbursement, or if we have filed, we just haven't got it yet. So again, it's one of those timing things that we're so well acquainted with. And there was one, if I'm correct, Andrea, there was one erroneous budget variance. Instructional expenses, we were $141,292 above budget for the month September. But your footnotes cleared that up, and if you want to elaborate on that, feel free. But apparently, we got a payroll booked on 9/31, should have been 10/1, when that line called transfer items.
Yeah, with the 10-1 payroll, most of the cash normally comes out the day before the payroll, so it makes the cash flow look funky, basically. So it'll reverse itself next month. It should even itself out. So it's just
That was almost $139,000.
Yeah, it's a pretty good chunk. I mean,
Yes,
that
and
jumps out at you.
I look back and it happened 2 or 3 years ago, so it's a very rare occurrence, but it's really just the timing of how the cash comes out for payroll and how we record it, how the payroll side records it for us.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because of the rollover of our pay periods, because this year, going from the 2020 to the 2021 contracts, there should have been about a 2-week gap, which really would be like a month gap between payments, or between payrolls. But since our employees are kind of consecutively paid, we just paid early, and then I think it throws it off about every 3 years, like she said. And
So that should show up as a gain.
A gain, yeah, a budget variance gain.
But it probably won't show up right away in October, right?
I think it should.
yeah, I think she was going to do an adjustment, yeah.
Okay.
And for the innovation grant, they actually sent a invoice or voucher, I guess, for us to fill out, and it was going to be $400,000 for the payment. I sent it back to them September 21st, so we should be seeing it. Generally, once it's submitted, they're supposed to pay within 30 days, and it's all done online. So, but I'm looking at the bank account right now. It's not there yet. I was hoping that maybe today, because I hadn't checked the account today, but nope, still
It
waiting.
may be
You're not the only
delayed, but working on that tracking system you guys were talking about, the nightmare you guys were talking about earlier, so.
Well, actually, the innovation grant, it comes from the state board, not IDOE. So we like them. We like them both. If anybody's listening, we like them both.
So Dave, you had mentioned the utilities, phone, and outside services being off by $111,000, $112,000.
Yeah, over budget,
Yeah.
was that, I
So-
think for that month.
Was there an explanation for that I might have missed?
Let's see here.
Say it's essentially the air purifiers, because we actually had anticipated that work being done
Yeah, that I
and
think-
billed last budget.
Wasn't that mostly West Electric work?
It is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and that's also for the doing the
Modulars?
modulars
Yeah.
too.
Yep, now the modules, is that covered by ESSER too?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, I might mention that I'm not trying to make things more complicated, but I have this financial review I sent out Monday morning. I did expand the breakout a little bit more, and then I did do some batching. So, but I'm trying to isolate these key accounts where we're most likely to, have that big variance, so we can determine, is it just a matter of timing or some kind of transfer quirk, or is it a red flag? So you mentioned that one account. It makes it a little more cumbersome for me, but makes it more meaningful than to look at quicker. I did batch a few of those things under the facilities expense together.
Okay.
So it won't completely match up with an individual line item.
So we'll just
That's all I
watch
have.
next month for those
Yeah.
couple of items.
I will say there's 327,000 of reimbursements still to come in, so that should hit
So
on
they're a nice shot.
outside of the charter.
Nice vaccine.
I like it.
That's all I have, so please, anybody
that,
else,
Jeff.
don't want to monopolize here, but I got us still started.
And I will make one comment. Our track is complete.
Oh, good.
So we are
Looks good.
super excited, and we got to do a social media unveiling of it. And our alumni are supportive but jealous, so I feel bad for that. But it also came in about $15,000 under budget.
Nice.
So
The
that-
modulars that we mentioned, what's the status of that project? Because I know
What was that rare material that was causing our delay?
Yes.
Before?
So the modular has been delivered. It has been placed. We had to re-rack it because they didn't place the pieces aligned together very well. And now we are working with the company because the windows are leaking. And so we're trying to get that fixed. We just got the ramp put in over the weekend, so now we actually have actual access to it. Elwood Fire and Sonatrol should be coming out this week to get the fire systems up and coordinated and tap into our current system. And then we got to get our certificate of occupancy, and then we can actually start using it. So hoping in about 3 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm not putting that out in the universe, 3 years, it's fine. 3 weeks, exactly, that we will be operational. We can get our neuroscience kiddos out there and give teachers a little more breathing room in their rooms, and it'll be great. Everybody, they've been true champs through this entire process, because that's the APA way, but it's getting a little cozy.
How's our train project doing? Have we got that kicked off yet? Or?
We have kicked off. We're right in that preliminary part. They're coming through. I met the project manager. He seems like a nice, competent person that I'll be able to work with. And they are going through, they're in that ordering phase right now and hunting everything down, making final measurements. They're testing the roof just to make sure that it can hold the capacity of the new units, and so far everything's checking out. So we're really close to it really getting going. Over the next 3 months, it's going to be very, very fun around here with that. Also, our roof over the small gym is finally being replaced. We are about 5 months behind schedule on that, but the equipment and all of the supplies are actually here and getting installed, and so we're getting there. Our flooring project over at 22nd Street in the hallways has almost completed, and it looks amazing over there. All of the old brown tile that maybe wasn't the best environment for our kids and breathing capacities has now been covered and replaced, and it looks pretty cool. So
You did a walkthrough with Train last week?
Jim did.
Okay.
I just met him. It's not my turn to come in yet. We're gonna schedule a meeting. I think the week after next.
And laymen were still asking questions, and I have yet to follow up with them, but I will. Bidding process was proper, was straightforward. We put a strict grading quotient to it, came back with recommendations to the board from our finance committee, and it was approved. So simply put. Okay.
And Mike,
Yes.
could the board look at the outstanding textbook collections and work on writing some of that off?
Good question.
I mean, some of that we are never, ever, ever going to get, and it's $246,000.
Yeah, I went back, I think 5 years or something, far back as I could go, and any write-offs that we've ever done, and I think we maybe had 40 or 50 1 year, it was somebody who was still active with us. I don't think we've ever collected anything that I could see from somebody that was no longer with us,
So what does that look like to do something like that?
So do we have a final update? I know we ran that grace period through the end of May. Do we have any report on what we collected for that, or?
I don't think, but Kim and I can put one together so that we can give you those final numbers. I know that she was bombarded quite a bit by it. So that was a good thing. A lot of families paid. And with the inactive students in those accounts, several of those are way past collection periods, and
So if you can, Lori, do you have a thought or an idea of how you'd like to approach that?
No, I was just thinking if we could get an aging report or
Yeah.
something, Jill,
Okay.
and let's go back to a cutoff and let's write them off, because we're never going to get that.
yeah, we're not going
We
to.
probably don't even know where some of these folks are, where they live. So if we could just maybe look at, where the numbers fall, the age of those, maybe we could make a decision in the
thought.
next meeting or
Good thought.
something.
Andrea, how would that affect our bottom line? I don't know that it would matter on our cash basis statements, but on accrual,
It won't.
have we already written that off or expensed it off as a bad debt allowance?
Since we don't put it on the books as collectible on your financials,
Mhm.
it doesn't change the actual financials.
Hmm. So it's not
We
going to
never-
be a big hit on
Yeah,
our
we
bottom
never
line. if
report it
we
as a
do
receivable, so.
So if it's not recorded as a receivable, there'll be no impact on the bottom line.
Right.
Yeah,
That's good.
so.
Yeah.
I just thought it would
But it'd be
clean up
nice
the
to know
data.
what that receivable is, if we can get an aging,
Yeah.
and then, maybe come up with a plan for one last ditch. Hey, this is, we're getting it. And then, I agree, once you're past the point of no return, writing some of that off. If there's no impact, I mean, there's nothing, but,
Especially if you're not able to collect on it.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to affect your cash.
you don't want to set the precedent that, just don't pay it, they're going to write it off. But you also want to be realistic about what's out there too.
Well, I think it's more for leadership of the board and
I
Jill
agree.
than anything else. I mean, that doesn't need to be publicized, that if you don't pay it, it's written off,
Yeah.
but it cleans this up, cleans this
Yep.
piece up.
No, great thought, so. Okay, any other questions of the financials? Okay, folks, you can get out of here before it's dark. Oh, sorry.
No, it's still sunset. We're still there. Oh,
I
not
make a
really.
motion
I mean,
to
you cannot
accept
fill you in. Basically, if we
financial
just,
report.
Okay.
if we do
Second.
a modification on all of our
I
mortgages.
have a motion
we can
and
stay
a
on
second to accept
$20,000
the financial report. We've had discussion. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just need to get official approval. We're not even have to go through like a
Approval with the sign of aye?
refinance process.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, good work.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your efforts. Thank you for running and copying missing pages. I think probably went from, they probably went from two-sided to one-sided.
Yeah, that's
That's what it
what I
kind of
was,
looked like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
did, it looks like.
Okay. Let's talk about new business. Mr. Miller?
No.
Okay.
Well, good evening, everybody. So,
Good evening. Wait until we get the camera on you, right?
all right.
Did you make sure you do your hair for this?
I did. Well, I know it's been a while since we've had a chance to meet and have a little bit of an update. So tonight, I also brought with me Maddie. Hopefully everybody has had the opportunity to meet Maddie, so I'll introduce him here at the end. So 29th Street has had some challenges, and I want to be very open and honest about the challenges. The challenges that we have had, they have been not every day, not every moment, not every period, but they have been fleeting. So they've been coming and going. So what we have been hoping for was this return to normalcy, a reset of who we are, what we wanted to be. We worked through a lot of things last year with our parent committees to reestablish some of our cultures, ideas. But what we are finding is that there is a high level of stress, fear, anxiety, and that comes in many different shapes and forms. And that is both felt with our parents, it's felt with our students, it's really felt with our staff. So we've taken the opportunity the last 2 to 3 weeks to really sit down and try to work through with our staff and identify what that stress is, and no one can identify it. The stress is, I don't know what I'm walking into each day. And that is a consistency thing that is paramount across. We have teachers, I know you were talking about the sub-budget earlier. We have teachers that have been impacted by childcare. They've been impacted by the health of their parents or their in-laws, whoever it may be, close relatives. So there is just a fear of the unknown every day that they wake up. So, and that just permeates everything. Outside challenges, we know that there are outside challenges that our staff face, our families face, and so we are trying to find a way to remedy that. Some of the school-based initiatives that we have in place that has added some stress, our new project-based learning and all the items that we are trying to push forward, and that has been a positive stress for some. It's given them something to come in, work on a skill to hone, but yet it is a stressor. Then we just see some fatigue, and obviously some of our staffing changes has led to it. So what are we doing to overcome? One of the things is that we are really trying to shift our mindset, and what we are seeing here with that shift in mindsets is really trying to focus on the why. So why we do what we do, why we chose to go into the career of service, and how we're going to approach that each day has been really big for us. And one of the things that I look at our 29th Street building is the support staff that I have with me, with Mr. Williams, Mallory McCullough, Dr. Malik, the people that are within our student support team, they continue to push to find that consistency. So we are trying to find that balance and be consistent in our approaches each day and encouraging that not only with our staff, but with our students as well. So that finding consistency is something that we are looking at. Things that you can see if you're coming into our building. If you paid attention to our social media right now, this project-based learning adventure that we are on right now has really ignited some of our staff, some of our students, and it has really started to approach and it's starting to bear some fruit. And I say that because we see kids that are coming in each day looking forward to go into a science class or to a STEM class. They are trying to find excuses, and they are actually the ones pushing our teachers outside of their comfort zone. They are pushing our teachers to get ourselves down to our makerspace labs. They're pushing them to do more labs. And one of the things that we asked our senior class, our last year's graduating class, to do is continue to provide us feedback. And we are getting feedback from our graduates from last year about some of the things that they were prepared for on the college campus and other things that they weren't quite prepared for. And so you're going to see here this next 9 weeks, especially from our academy and science classes, a huge use of the laboratory spaces, just trying to get our students using scientific methods, using scientific instruments, etc. But this project-based learning has really been something that we are very proud of. Another aspect that we are taking a look at is last year, I think last time I presented, I got to inform you all of a new restorative justice program, or restorative practice program that we had partnered with the Peace Learning Center out of Indianapolis. This year, we are starting to see some really fruits of the labor of our counseling department. Maddie coming on with us as a social worker, in his efforts, we are really starting to see an impact and change in focus with both our teachers and our students as far as becoming just openly aware of themselves and others around them, and it is really becoming impactful. So the pictures we have up here, our focus right now has really been on community building. So us as a small community, how do we take care of one another? How do we support one another? And one of those practices, if you have ever had the opportunity to participate in one, we call restorative circles. So we have ran through that process a few times. Those are really heavily used at the pre-academy. We have used that approach 3 or 4 times so far in the academy, and it's really a conflict resolution, community building type practice, and has really been beneficial. Our military science, I cannot say enough about what Mike Austin and his crew have done with our CAP program so far this year. Truly taking this program to new heights. As of today, we have put over 150 cadets into the air. Tomorrow is going to be our last day of O flights. We will end the last week and a half to put over 200 students, 200 cadets in an airplane and fly them for the first time. We had the opportunity to go out there today, be with some of the pilots, be with some of the kids. This past weekend, Mike took a group of students and they participated in the AMA drone flying courses over in Muncie, so they were able to go over there and fly. We now have over 700 different rockets here in our building right now, so those rockets are going to be done through, they don't have to be capped to participate, so Mike has really pushed our STEM initiatives with students in grades K through 12 where they have access to rocket kits and other STEM items, but it has been very, very beneficial. And of course, the weather balloon release that took place at the end of August, I don't know if anybody got the chance to view that. It was live streamed. It was just an excellent presentation of who we are here at APA, how flexible we are and how willing we are to partner with our community partners. And under Mike's leadership, that CAP program has now gotten national attention. So it is really exciting to see what we have going on there. The same can be said for our Jrotc program. And this one, I'm not going to take any thunder away, but
Go right ahead.
Our Jrotc program, Sergeant Tidwell, Colonel Smith, I know that we have talked the last 3 years about where the direction of that program, and I think that we have a clear view of the direction of that program. And it was illustrated the weekend prior, the first weekend of fall break, when our group got to take a trip out to Washington, D.C. There are photos and video of our students. They got to participate in the laying of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It was just a great reflection of who we are here at APA. And it gave our students the opportunity to participate in a program that not very many youth are going to be able to say that they were able to participate in. So some really striking images that our staff was able to take on that trip. So it's something that we're very proud of. I don't have images up here, but we have got kind of started with our robotics program with that as well as marksmanship. So we are seeing some growth in both of our military science programs in regards to the STEM initiatives, leadership initiatives, etc. So really excited about that. The other thing that we are really excited about, Jrotc this Friday is hosting the Dining Out program, and really looking forward to that. So hopefully we are beginning to attract and develop the type of leaders that our board and our community here at APA, are expecting to be developed. Other things that we're looking to continue to focus on, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to take a look out here in our courtyard area. Community service, we are trying to lean really hard on the foundations that we have. And one of those pillars is that of service. The community service that is being done right now, I know we did a 1-month challenge. I lead the junior class, small junior class with 45 students. They put together almost 196 hours of community service in 1 month. We are really pushing the service, documenting the service, identifying avenues for our students to be able to participate in the service. And so we are just seeing a huge swing in momentum by just giving our students, the cadets, the opportunity to participate, and our staff is really engaging in that as well. So, along with the community service action, over the course of the first 10 weeks, we have made the decision to start celebrating who we really are. So this year we were able to return to some of our Hispanic Heritage Month. Back in 2019, we had a huge Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. 2020 kind of took that away from us just because of the limitations, and we were able to return to that. So that's September 15th through October 15th. We were able to celebrate that daily. If you have a chance to look at our social media, some of our students with Hispanic heritage, they have shared their stories and their biographies, how they made their way to Central Indiana, specifically Anderson. It is really striking if you really take a look and look at the students that we have the opportunity to serve here. So also what we are looking at, the bottom picture there, is our pre-academy has really taken on the idea of the positive, focusing on the positive and the positive referrals and identifying students whenever they show a positive character trait, really trying to incentivize good citizenship, honesty, trustworthiness, all of those character traits that we have identified as being important to us here at APA. Authentic learning experiences, so we have this, this is taking place daily. But Mr. McBee had the opportunity to take all of our 8th graders that made their way over to Miss Sinawa to the 1812 days. We have other opportunities that are coming up. So tomorrow, every one of our Prep CC students, so that's grades 9 and 10, they will be taking a tour of the Ivy Tech campus. So we're doing that in 2 shifts. By the end of this semester, they will also have access to a couple other cultural things. So we are continuing to push forward because as the COVID protocols begin to be a little bit better understood, and we can promise our students a safe place and a safe travel, we are continuing to push out with these authentic learning experiences. So with that, I just want to say, take the opportunity to say thank you. Jill had made this mention last week during our admin meeting. So take a look at the list. If you're starting to feel down a little bit, take a look at the things that we've accomplished. And so that was my hope today, being able to present to you all. Yes, it's been a trying year. Yes, it's been, seems like we can't stop the snowball from time to time, but if you actually stop, take a look back and see what we've accomplished, we are moving and we're moving forward. So we're really excited about that. And one of those people that is really starting to ignite that, and I think that it's been wonderful to add him, and that is Maddie. I want to give Maddie the opportunity here to talk. So Maddie joined us about a month ago. 2 months
2
ago.
months now.
Three.
Actually, now, isn't it?
Is it?
I think you're at 2.
2 months ago. So Maddie joined us 2 months ago, and his role in our building has really changed some mindsets and has started really to push our goal of doing that community outreach. So I want to give him the floor here. I know I talk a lot, so I told Maddie he gets 5 minutes. So I figured if I told him 5, he'd go for 10. But so Maddie, thank you.
Thank you. So, well, I appreciate it. I first want to start off by saying I want to thank Lori here. Without Lori, I would not be standing right here. She is a true inspiration to me. It all started, we met, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years almost?
Maddie, have you had your vaccine?
Yes.
You can take your mask off.
My husband
He's
has
immunocompromised.
MS and just did his
Okay,
infusion,
all right.
so I'm keeping the mask on.
Okay.
So I met Lori a couple of years ago. She got involved with Project Grocery. Project Grocery, if some of you, I know some of you know what I do with Project Grocery, but if you don't know, we're trying to get a grocery store started on the west side of Anderson and use it as a pay what you can model, and also using community gardens and greenhouses and stuff of that nature to supply it. So we're using educational outreach as the mode of providing the resources that are actually going into the store to get out to the community within the fiscally sensitive communities that are within a food desert or a food insecure area or some sort of food access issue. A couple of the things that I have noticed is whether you're a teacher or an administrator, you passionately care for everybody in this building. I was told that this is kind of like the island of misfits, and you know, and it's in a good way. I feel as though that, you know, no matter anybody's story, we have found a way to push through not only COVID, but trying to overcome these challenges. We all come together. We pride ourselves on the amount of communication we do on a daily basis between each other just to overcome these hurdles. The reason why CJ and Jill are making such great strides forward and it's taking off so fast is because they're not afraid of sitting down and listening to somebody. They're not afraid of looking at somebody and saying, what can I do for you? Yes, it causes a little extra work on their part, but they do it not because they have to, but because they want to. They genuinely care about the people in this building, and the students benefit from everybody communicating the way that we communicate here. So it is kind of a misfit because you don't get that in a lot of larger corporations, especially when you're working on 2 properties and trying to juggle, you know, everything that Jill, CJ, and Adam have to juggle on a daily basis. Some of the things that I've been working on here in the school personally focus on nutritional outreach, so fresh produce, it's kind of my jam. I love everything about getting fresh produce out there. We do a food box program where we are trying to get the kids to help pack the boxes that are distributed within the community, and we are giving them credit for it. I don't know if this is preemptive, but we're also working on a gala to start on November 12th, which will help raise money not only to provide Purdue Polytech with some funds to work on the hydroponics process that I have submitted to them, but also give some money to a program that I'm really trying to get started here at APA, which is called the After School Outreach Program. I'm sorry, I'm going to totally push on it.
No more surprises, it's totally fine.
So this basically uses the students, it teaches them about social reform in our community. It gets them actively participating and actively using their voice and their perspective to help make bigger impacts within our community. A lot of these kids do live within fiscally sensitive communities themselves. A lot of them do utilize the food boxes that we provide. So why not get them involved? So now we're offering a new after-school activity that allows the kids to give us their concerns, to make the changes, to show us adults, you know, what's important to them. One of my very first things to do is start a Christmas program with them where they're building the STEM boxes. We have a STEM program already initiated. Well, why don't we have the kids put together STEM Christmas gifts for the kids in need and then pass them out into the community? So now we're doing something beneficial with what we're trying to do, and we're trying to draw the eye towards us a little bit more. So not only does it help us on a marketing perspective, but we're genuinely doing good works in our community. And then another thing, Dr. Nalik and Mallory, I have been actively pursuing, unfortunately, to get hoop houses started, a community garden project, not only just at the 25th Street School, but also here, where we can use the hydroponic systems. I can implement more. There's grants out there. I have 3 grants that I'm working on to get the materials to put the hydroponic system so we can have the kids actively engage in growing here in classroom and not just with our hydroponics class, but we can use it on the after-school outreach program. And then that will give us also a time to have the kids, instead of disciplining them by suspending them or sending them to detention, we can give them community service hour options. So they will come to me and they'll be able to work down that debt by providing time, which will then in turn impact the community. I don't know. I have a lot of stuff started. I'm working on a financial literacy program through PNC Bank. They did a program 2 years ago or last year, and it was shut down. But I think I have enough of the PNC workers, bankers, that support just coming over here and donating their time to our senior class to give them the basic financial training that they will need once they exit our school. So, and then with the teaching staff, I've been working with a lot of teaching staff, seeing what I can do to help implement to alleviate the stresses on their part. And a lot of them, it's just the basic relaxation things. I'm working on a 2-month stint of meditation and yoga. We're going to offer massages. We're going to offer gym training where the kids will actually be teaching the teachers, and the teachers will take the role of the student, hopefully. And then we can see a, discourse go back and forth, because, I think that would be a really fun way to have a positive relationship between teachers and students and kind of strengthen that bond. And then my fresh produce that I hand out every day, back to that. So I got these little sheets here. I didn't bring enough copies for everybody. I'm sorry. You're not getting one because I can send it to you.
Anything you've got, I can send out to them.
Awesome. So here's the outgoing senior personal finance education information. These are the pictures. This is the afternoon outreach program. I'll give you one. Jill's already seen it. So yeah, and this.
Just give it to Jill and she can.
Yeah, I'll get them all out.
She'll start it. But we've been really trying hard to get all this stuff together. I've been working with Mallory. I've been blowing up Jill's email and CJ's email, being like, hey, what about this? What about this? And I think within the last 2 months, I have really narrowed it down to a program that is very well put together and offers a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, and Maddie has been a phenomenal, obviously you can see he has a lot of high energy, a lot of ideas, and he's been very relatable for our kiddos. He's very transparent about the challenges he faces and how he adapts to this crazy world we all live in. And the kids have, they're already flourishing just by getting to hang out with him. He's kind of got his little crew that are really just there. So, yeah, I'll email it. So we're just appreciative of the work that he's doing for us. And CJ, I'll let you wrap up.
Well, I just want to close out. Are there any questions?
Oh, and junior ROTC, I think last time you were here, you said we had about 80 kids, including 8th graders now. What do you think it would be now? About the same?
Yeah, we're right about the same. I mean, I think we're operating right around 90.
Three things you want them to have.
The numbers
And then I just.
have dipped a little bit. We've had some transition to virtual, et cetera. With the requirement for our 10th through 12th graders not having to be in military science right now, that our numbers have really kind of dipped. We had some that picked up CAP, just to be able to participate in something because of some of the activities that they get to participate in. But overall,
Good, as long as we're holding.
oh yeah, where the programs are at. So, we do have concerns, and we'll address those concerns in the spring, as we look at our continued staffing and the way that all works. But, yeah. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I know that in the years past that you had like the middle school students were kind of struggling in things. With all of these great initiatives that you've got going on, have you seen improved morale and improved behaviors and things like that?
Yeah, I would say what we are seeing as we continue to adjust specifically our discipline policies, procedures, et cetera. It is not a cut, dry, type of process. It is very much, our approach is seek first to understand, so if there is a behavior issues that we see are really minimal if you are comparing, our institution to others. So you'll see, what you're seeing, for instance, in grades 9 through 12, you see a lot of apathy. The apathy in the regards to just engagement, and that is day to day, class to class, and that's may even be moment to moment. So like from one activity the student is participating in, and then it's like, hey, let's close that up. We're going to move on to the next thing, and I don't really want to, So, but then we also have seen an uptick in the number of students that we have that are working, and us as school corporations, we no longer have benefit. We do not approve working, work permits any longer. So as students begin to work, we see students that our biggest issue is attendance, tardies, late to class, those types of things. We do have some students that we are well aware that they work of an evening, so they show up a half hour late to school, whatever it may be. I mean, that's our typical thing. But as far as the pre-academy, our pre-academy has started to grow leaps and bounds as far as the structure, just the day-to-day consistency of the structure has been very positive. We implemented some rotational programs every 9 weeks. So our first 9 weeks we had implemented, as Jill would call it, hiding the veggies type of programs where they're doing math, they're doing reading, they're doing writing, but they're doing it through a different type of scope.
Like crime scene investigation,
Yeah,
or
forensics
and food science and those things. And
Yeah, so we've done,
We're
my
finding the
Carlson has
fun and
hydroponics.
fundamentals.
Yeah, so we're developing a full-blown seed library. We have a hydroponics tower that hydroponics tower is amazing. I have 6th graders explaining the difference to me about the difference between zucchinis, cucumbers, and how they cross-pollinate, and it has been really impressive, some of the things that our kids are doing. So
Yeah, and they've grown a lot. And, I know right now in the news you see a lot of violence happening at other schools and all that. And, you're looking at, as Maddie says, fiscally sensitive communities, right? Well, that has been magnified. And, intensified. These kids, for the last 3 school years of their lives, they've been dealing with COVID and the impact that it has had on their families and those things. And so they're very stressed. And our kids, because of the programming that we have been doing, they're learning to use their voice. They're learning to self-advocate. They're not always great at it. Sometimes some of the words that are attached with the advocacy needs a little cleaning, but they're learning. And we just put a class together as part of that rotation. It's a Jrotc Success course, and it's an empowerment class. It's for we kind of a group of maybe some frequent flyers that need just a little more intensity. And already, like, I feel like it's doing something, and it's doing something in a positive way, not punitive. And so our kids are starting to come alive again. They're starting to be kids again. And I know, we see the apathy, and a lot of that can be, attributed to people, they're waiting for the next shoe to drop. And I see that with our staff too. They get excited about a project they're doing, and then they're like, but wait, which group's going to get quarantined, and then am I going to be able to keep doing it? So we're being mindful of those things, but it is a huge issue. But I think a lot of this stuff has really helped so far.
Good presentation, thank you. And I met Matty after our last board meeting. He cornered me on my way out the door.
That's his style.
I could see his enthusiasm, and I still have his card tucked under my visor. I will follow up with you, so good job, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Aliza, you're up.
I'm up. So I had the opportunity to attend the Washington trip with the Jrotc as a chaperone. It was very fun, very fast. Everything was very fast paced. And before we knew it, there was one monument in front of us and then another one. I mean, it went very, very fast. It was the first night that we were there. We were able to see the Air Force Memorial, which was beautiful at night. That was fun for me anyway as a parent, because I've been there numerous times, but I've never seen the monuments at night. So we got to do that on Saturday night as well. After dinner, we went back to the mall and we walked around and got to see all the monuments lit up at night. So that was very, very fun for me. The Arlington was just amazing. The kids did such a great job with the changing of the reefs, and all of the students, we were fortunate that we got there in time to watch the changing of the guards, and they got to watch the motions and movements of these sentinel guards. And even mine down here on the floor commented on how smooth and streamlined they were, and so precise in everything that they did. And I think that mannerism kind of stuck out to several of them to have seen that for the first time and gotten to see that type of guard, for the military. The Jrotc, they did a great job with the reef. Very, very nice. I was very proud of them, as well as the students watching on how they were very respectful through the whole thing. The trip was very nice. There's, with students, you're going to have a little bumps every once in a while, but it wasn't anything, major, just tiny little things, but they were really great. I even had at one of the places we stopped to eat, one of the workers of the establishment commented on how respectful our kids were to them, and they never had that when they have this massive kids coming at them. They instantly start panicking, but they commented on how well our students were and how respectful they were. It was a great trip. I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to go with them.
Any questions of?
How many students got to go? There were 28 students that went, and then there was 3 parent chaperones, and then the 2 bus drivers and sergeant colonel as well.
How many did you come back with?
All of mine came back with me, but they all did come back.
No man left behind, and we made it through. The health department did all of our testing on site, and it was phenomenal. And I felt so bad. She was sending me pictures, and it wouldn't show up on my phone. I'm like, what? I want to see it. And just to see the video and know that it's our kids doing it was just very moving. It was a very proud APA moment, and
Cool.
Sergeant Tidwell and Colonel did a phenomenal job with
They did.
everything. And Sergeant Tidwell, man, she is, whew, she messed with that travel company and made sure that everything was done exactly right. And I was sitting there behind her going, woo!
Yeah, she did amazing. And for the guard and for her as well, when we first got to Arlington, of course, we walked the entire cemetery, up the hills and down the hills and back up again and everywhere. And they were in their uniforms the whole time. And it was very humid. We had beautiful weather other than it was slightly humid, and they withstood in those big uniforms,
Good.
handling all of that.
Good job. Thank you for helping out with that. Okay, COVID protocol update. Is that you, Jill?
That's me, the resident COVID expert here at APA. So looking at our current protocols in place, they do seem to be effective, especially after that first burst of COVID that we had with Delta variant ramping up right at the beginning of the school year. Our numbers are down significantly. Our quarantines are down significantly. Part of that has been that the Department of Health has changed quarantine rules if you are currently under a mask mandate for that week. And I do have to report every single week if we have mask mandate or not. And so they have changed it that if a student was within 3 to 6 feet of a positive student, but both the student and the close contact were masked, then they don't necessarily have to quarantine unless they become symptomatic. And so that has changed, and that has been very beneficial. Now, I don't know what's going on at the health department. I brought a copy to share with all of you, but they have sent a letter. They sent it not just to APA, they sent it to all the schools in the state, and it was a very stern reminder about that we are legally obligated to follow their directives and those things. I know some of that is because there are schools that are just not quarantining anybody, or they're not doing the contact tracing at all. They're just saying, hey, that kid's sick, that kid's out, the rest of you, and they're not notifying families that they were exposed, all that. So I did want to assure the board, that's not us. We're doing exactly what we have been told to do, and we're following that. As far as our mask mandate goes, I had said, when we switched to it, that it would be until further notice. The numbers are starting to come down, and it looks maybe possibly favorable that probably within the next 2 weeks we might move into yellow for the first time since August, if the pattern and trend continues, but you never know right now. So my recommendation is that we currently just stay the course until, we have that full release to be able to move forward. And so that's kind of where we are right now on it. We don't like wearing the mask, but our kids are fairly compliant. They're kids, and especially because they're APA kids, you could say, hey, mask up. Okay, mask up. And so, it is what it is. And then we do continue with our littles. That's a little more challenging. So we're doing the best we can there. I think, I talked to the other county superintendents, and pretty much everybody is staying the course as is right now. Pendleton or South Madison, if it does drop below orange for 2 weeks or more, they will be going back to mask optional. That's what's in their plan. It is similar to ours. And so we'll kind of see how that goes for everybody. I would love to say I'm super hopeful that it'll just keep going well and we'll get through it, but we do have the holidays coming up. Statistically, last year, this was the time where our numbers ramped up because of fall break travel. We haven't seen that yet. We have one active case currently, and that was a student that did not come back from break. well, let me rephrase that. They missed their first day back. They came back that morning, and as soon as they got through the door, they coughed and were acting sick and said, "Oh, I've been super sick," and they got sent to isolation, and we got them out. So, and they did test positive. But other than that, we haven't seen it yet. Given incubation periods and things, we should be seeing those right now if we had a lot of exposure. So we're hopeful, but vigilant. And so that's kind of my update. I am going to share that letter with all the legalese in it and everything, just because I'm required to by law, apparently. Section I see something or other on there. So, but right now, that's where we are.
Okay, any questions? Next is the addition to the agenda is loan modification.
Yeah.
Dave, is this you going to talk about it, or are you going to talk about it?
That's me. So for loan modification, our banker, Dave Bartram, who has been our banker for a few years, and he is really always good at looking at what's in our best interest. And he and I started talking, it may have been 8 or 9 months ago, about the current interest rates of our mortgages that we currently hold. And, with the pandemic and all of the really historic low interest rates, maybe we could look at a loan mod to save us some money. And so he has gone through with this and did his research on that. For us, currently, our loans are all sitting at 4.85% for the mortgages. We currently have 4 of them. 3 of them will be paid off in the summer of 2026. And then our 4th loan will be paid off in March of 2029. So we're only...
25th Street, when the
Yeah.
oldest
The
loan is the one that is the longest.
Yeah. So the 22nd Street and 29th Street, they would be paid off. 22nd Street would be paid off in July of 2026. And then the 2 that are here for 29th Street will be paid off in August of 2026. And so looking at the mods, what we can do, we would be able to get a fixed rate of 3.8% versus that 4.85% for the first 3. And then looking at the 4th one, we could get a fixed rate at 4.1%. And so basically, if we did that and over the life of the loans, it would be a $28,297 savings. There is a $1,200 mod fee to do it, so about $27,100 would be our savings from doing it. We don't have to go through a full refinance process. We don't have to get the buildings appraised. We don't have to go anything. It's just a general loan mod, and we just say, hey, we're going to do it, and then he clicks the button and we're through. So I think, my recommendation is we should do the loan modification, take advantage of the interest rates while they're low now. I also, because we will be getting increased funding that can go to facilities, looking at that Charter Innovation Grant next year, where we'll be getting extra. It'll be $1,250 versus the $1,000. I will be putting in the budget and recommending to the Finance Committee that we look at paying down those mortgages faster anyways to save some on interest. So I think that it is in our financial best interest to do the loan modification.
Now, the gross savings, 28,000 over, is that over the 4-year period, even though the one loan is out?
Yeah.
And as I recall, we did, I don't know if you had come on board as a CEO yet, we did a loan modification to get the 4.85, and that is a variable rate. It's changeable, I think, every month. I'm not sure if it's LIBOR or what they've tied it to. LIBOR's a bit out of favor right now. And the 1,200, that's just up front for all of the mortgages?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the origination fees.
Yes, the origination fee, it's $300 per loan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is.
So are these fixed?
These would be fixed. It would take us from that adjustable rate and keep us, at that 3.8.
So have we investigated how much more quickly we can pay this down?
No, I'm not to that yet.
Are we, okay, so we're, with this reduction, we've got a budget in place to pay X. So if we pay X, it'll actually accentuate or accelerate, I should say, the payoff of those loans. And I'm sorry, I've just been hearing closer to 2% with home mortgages, and I don't know how they relate to school mortgages, but I mean, it's great to spend them down, but can we get them lower?
I would say we can ask him, but going through and having the buildings assessed and going through the appraisal and all that might not be beneficial for us.
Well, it would be for the first three.
Well, yeah, let's take one look at the fourth one, yeah, that's the kiss of death.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Wall Street constantly fluctuates over what interest rates are going to do, with, it seems like inflation is starting to become a problem. Some say it's short-term, others not so sure. I guess the only thing I commented on was if we are going to seek the lowest rate possible, I mean, now is probably the best time. I mean, not tomorrow necessarily, but I think given the massive amounts of government spending we've already had with COVID relief and then what is being argued over, I think interest rates are only going to go up, although I don't think that they're going to go up. I don't think we're going to see interest rates like we saw back at the start of the Reagan administration when, the short-term money markets were almost 20%, for example.
Or when I bought my first house at like 17%.
Oh, yeah, I made a killing on my CDs back then, but wasn't good for the economy, obviously. But so, I don't know, I guess, it didn't seem like a lot of savings, but then again, that also will produce the same effect at reducing the interest portion. I was thinking, I think I calculated just average on the 4 mortgages. I think the interest portion was maybe 25% of each monthly payment. Monthly payment's fixed, but the interest portion is subject to change. So again, that would, if we take this modification again, it would do the same thing, and you'll work the principal down. And then what program would that money come out of to further reduce loan principal next year? Is that an ESSER program? Could be?
No, that is the State Board of Ed program, the Charter Innovation.
Okay.
We can use that money for capital expenditures, and that includes all of our facilities and mortgages and things.
Yeah.
So, and right now, our interest is about 20% of the payment.
Okay, yeah.
And it's gonna go down as we
Mhm.
pay it forward. So would the term of the loan stay the same?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to change any terms. It would still be the
And we have
remaining.
no, I confirmed with Barker, we have no balloon payments. That was one thing I've
We do
never
not.
been quite sure about, so that's good.
Yeah, and we would keep our 60 payments that we have left, or the 59 payments that we have left. It would
I
just
don't know
be an
about the
interest
other
rate change.
mortgage, those are the older ones for this building. I think we had 2 for this building and then 1 for 22nd Street. I know I think the balance on 25th, I think we got down to about 250,000, which is better than 300 when we first started conversing about it here. So we still got a ways to go on that one, unfortunately.
So we also took that loan out to repair the roof. Is that included in this, or have we paid that?
That, I believe, is
What
included in
was
this.
that? Gosh, it's been a while ago.
I thought they rolled it into it. I'm not sure.
Did they?
That was not.
That
right.
was added on to our yeah, I think
Did we roll it in?
Yeah, we had to roll it. We had to ask him for, yeah, I remember Bob, I think Bob was still with us then, yeah. Yeah, it was about $200,000.
Yep.
We had to come back to them after we said, well, we only need this much.
Right.
And then like a week later, we found out we had another roof problem, and yeah, they
Right.
added it back on, so.
Eventually we'll run out of roof.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been pretty good with us on those roof repairs, you know, sometimes they come up rather quickly, and we're notified about it.
So the 1,200 origination fees, where would that come from? Like, would that be we'd have to pay that like upfront at the time?
Mhm. Yeah,
And we
they
have
just,
that somewhere in the budget that we
yeah,
can do
they,
that?
I can $1,200, I'm good at that.
Well, it would be in the savings in the first year, I mean, obviously, so.
Or you take it out of that transfer account or something.
I mean, if the savings,
Do we need a motion for that?
we do?
I make a motion that we remodify the loans for the new interest rates and for the fixed term, if nothing. I think that's important.
I would second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All four with a sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And you're going to ask them for a lower rate anyway.
Ryan's
Oh, right here.
Oh, yeah, hi, Ryan.
Hey.
Join us.
Okay. Did I miss something, or did he just vote?
He just voted.
Oh, okay, all right, thanks, Ryan. Okay,
All right,
all right.
that's all I have.
Any,
This disclosure and release form, do we need to fill this out?
yes,
This to you
before you leave,
please?
there should be 2 forms.
Yes.
2 forms?
Yeah,
Two
there
forms.
are 2 forms, and I have an extra if you need them.
Oh, I thought the other one was just a sample for EPA to send in.
No.
I didn't look close.
2
Sorry.
forms.
And I do apologize, but Ball State requires a new background check for board members after the renewal.
So if we pass the first one, we should be pretty good for the next one.
Theoretically, yes, I haven't seen any of you in the newspaper lately,
crossed that bridge
so.
yet.
And you have copies that we can sign?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I got one copy, I got the disclosure release.
Okay, any further discussion, any other discussion? Need a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn the October board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
I'll
All four with the
second.
sign of aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. All right, meeting's adjourned. Please complete your forms before you leave.